Welcome back. This is the Poet Is a Human with the Philosopher Dunamis on this week's episode number 45, Fight for Incorporation. Please be sure to hit that like button on your way in, and if you like us, consider subscribing to keep up with our episodes on YouTube and give us a follow on X.
And Fightcast is here to empower individuals to live healthier, master finances, pursue dreams, and inspire others through self-awareness and global impact. And this is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and not financial advice. A is a human. How you doing this week, buddy?
Hey man, it's been a busy week. It's been productive. I don't have a lot of complaints, if any at all. Meditate, touch some grass, hug a tree, drink some hot tea. It's fine by me. How you?
I'm feeling great. It's I think I said last week was a little stressful. There were things that were kind of stressing me out last week, and most of that's gone now. So it's just back to working hard and getting excited about things that are coming this winter and into the spring. I've got lots of big plans. We were talking about that in the last episode, but this episode 45, I get to interview you this time, Izzy. So I'm excited about that.
Uh-oh.
You ready? I mean, we're gonna call you the expert since you've done the LLC thing, and it's there we go. It doesn't have to be. We don't have to get into all the nitty gritty details, but we definitely want to talk about what those first steps are. What does it take for you to? I mean, we can get right into it if you're ready for it. You ready for it?
Yeah, let's do it, man. I'm more ready now than I'll be here in the next 5 seconds. Let's go.
There we go.
Let's get it.
Well, I mean, why do you think so many people hesitate to start a business? Just to get to the very heart of the beginning of it. Why don't more people even just get started?
I feel like a lot of people don't actually know where to begin when you get done with that 3 a.m. conversation about starting your own business and just the actionable steps and the sequences that it takes to do things in the order, like getting the LLC and then doing this. So I would say a lot of it is the paperwork that people don't want to do.
Yeah,
for sure, man. For sure, that's the biggest right there. That starting, yeah.
And not knowing where to get started, that's got to be tough. What fears like that did you have to overcome when you were filing your LLC for the finest?
So yeah, it was the what do I do after this, and how do I? So once I make this song, and now that I've done this with the LLC, what else needs to be done, right? And I just didn't want to. I didn't want to mess it up. I wanted it to just be seamless the first time, and that was the biggest thing. Is just being perfect the first time, and that's just not a reality. You got to learn. You got to crawl before you walk. So you got to get over that fear of just everything being right, and the fear of asking for help. And that's the other thing too. That's a big thing, and can be a bit challenging for independent artists and independent entities. Definitely.
So ask for help. And why do you think it's important for people to get out of that, and actually start to build something?
Yeah, you disable your ability to learn, your ability to absorb information in that space, and you get comfortable. And that's where I feel a lot of people are more in a content space of this person makes these decisions. I know when I'm going to get paid, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Because everybody has a respectable job to me because it's I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? Someone's got to do it. That kind of deal. And then same thing with the music. But you just even in those professional settings too, like in order to rise above the ladder, you have to develop that experience over time. You got to stay in the book or whatever that continuous education looks like within that field. You just can't stop learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Usually when you get any kind of job, you're just getting your foot in the door. You got to always continue to learn and get better and grow.
Definitely.
So getting into this, if you just have your idea and you don't really even know where to start, I know that there's a lot of terms. You mentioned an LLC, so
Mhm.
there's like I know when I had a little small business years ago, we ran things through as a general partnership, and I know you can have a sole proprietorship. You have
Mhm.
and you have these, LLC and DBA. What are all these different terms mean? Like, what's the difference between having an LLC and a DBA?
Sure. So the LLC, in short, is a limited liability company, and the DBA is the doing business as. So think of the LLC as the umbrella, and the DBA as underneath the umbrella. So the Finest LLC, for example, would be the umbrella, and the Solidity Records would be the branch of that. So and you can have multiple branches underneath your umbrella, and you
Okay.
can have different partnerships with your LLC. Then you've also got like non-part or non-profits, and then you have for profits too. I want to say that charities do nonprofits. In that space. But there's a few different things that you can, and depending on the size of your company too, that's another thing. So, like with C corps and S corps, some of this stuff, guys, I'm gonna sound like a nerd a little bit because I feel like I'm talking with Shaggy right now. But I know a lot of you guys don't know what the S corps and the C corps mean. We can definitely branch off into like another business episode for sure, and get into that. But mainly, the one key takeaway I want you guys to get with the LLC and the DBA is the umbrella thought, and just being able to do sub businesses underneath that.
So is it like a tax thing? It does it work in conjunction with your taxes and how you do your taxes? Is that sort of affected as well, having an LLC?
Yeah, yeah. So depending on what kind of business you have will determine on how you file your taxes. So, with your W-9s and what have you.
Very cool. Well, so why go through the trouble of incorporating instead of just sort of doing things, casually under the table or whatever? Why do we want to go through the trouble of getting an incorporation?
Biggest thing is to protect yourself from getting sued.
Oh yeah.
For
That's
sure.
true.
And protect your IP as well. You want to be able to have all of these works registered, and all of your business endeavors locked down, published in whatever capacity, so that way it's protected.
Yeah. Is this something that someone can look up and do themselves, or is this something that you need to hire like a lawyer or professional to do for you?
They're making it very easy for us now to get on websites like Busy and start our own LLCs and filing and all of that, and giving you the parameters of what that means in your state. They make it very simple. They do, for sure. So it's just us doing the research and coming up with that plan on how we want to go about doing that. But anybody who's wanting to start a business, just go ahead and hit that one-time fee of whatever it is. I know here in Ohio it's about 99 bucks to start it, but then after that you're good for the year. So um, you know protecting your intellectual property gets to be really, really important, especially when you're working with artists, working with producers and developers, and there's a lot of different proposals, and you've got people's metadata that's just surfing all over the internet. So people are getting a lot craftier these days on how they're intercepting this information. So we want to be on top of that in the back end.
Wow, yeah. So it's something that you need to have, a legitimate business to run a legitimate business, it sounds like. And it also sounds like you were saying it sort of depends about where you live.
Mhm.
So there's going to be different rules, I would imagine, here in the state of Texas versus what it is there in Ohio.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You guys are like a whole other country over there. I can only imagine what that looks like over there, man.
I need to figure it out. I haven't gotten into it enough to figure out exactly how all that works yet. But yeah,
Mhm. And who
that's
knows? It might be a lot more simple than we both think.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. I wanted to have this episode because it helps me to sort of get over that fear as well of what does it take to kind of get those legal things taken aware of, and it is protection, right? The
Yeah.
like you said, like an umbrella. So the DBA sounds like it's more tied to your brand.
Yeah. Yeah, so Solidity Records is the record label that we operate under. That's where we do all of our music. Everything that has to do with that is going through the Solidity brand. And that's what we have as our face when we're on these platforms of marketing and what have you. So that's what the audience sees first. And that's, it's going to be a big step. It's going to be a big step.
And with these kinds of things, do you have to keep up with them every once in a while? Is this something that you have to do every year or every 5 years to keep it going?
So yeah, so the DBA, that's actually 5 years. With the LLC, that's every year annually.
Okay.
So yeah, which I'm not really too sure why it's like that, but I mean, I guess you wouldn't want to pay for two things, twice in a year. I think that would kind of kill it a little bit on the bargain end of it.
Yeah, definitely. So these are just administrative costs, I guess, that go into wanting to run an enterprise, and but it makes a lot of sense. So this is all stuff that I definitely need to learn about. And if you've got an idea and you're wanting to start your business, how important is it to establish your brand from the beginning?
Having a clear goal of what direction you want to go, what would be your primary audience, those are all going to be things you want to think about early on, because that's going to tailor the predominancy of certain social media platforms that you're utilizing, that maybe your demographic gravitates more towards. So having that whiteboard writing, so you're not lost. Again, it goes back into, a lot of people don't know where to start. If I want to make a kid's book and say it's for teenagers, you know what I mean? So it's like, I want to, this is the language that I need to speak, and these are the parameters that I need to make sure that I'm abiding by in order to make this appropriate for, this in this area. And even how you network too. That's another key thing. Who do I talk to, and what am I reading online? What information do I need to get? So there's a lot more steps than a lot of people think in that, and that's that end. And it's not that they're challenging or difficult. It's just taking that time to establish your foundation before you just make impulsive decisions.
Hmm.
You want each move to be calculated. You don't want to, waste your time. That's the biggest thing that you lose. You don't want to waste your time, and at that point you're wasting money.
Yeah, definitely. Is this so you mentioned these are fairly easy things now. Is this something where like LegalZoom or you know you can go and find templates for online usually?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. And I wish that Samuel was here, because he would be the best one to ask about this, because this guy's, I'll tell you, Samuel loves to do paperwork. He loves data entry. This is
Hmm.
his bread and butter. In fact, this episode should actually be his. I want to get grill him on this, because he loves this stuff. But yeah, there's templates, and there's all sorts of things online that these guys can look up. And I wish that I could be a little bit more specific as far as like where to go. And I think you gave a good one there. Um, but again, it just goes back to having the accessibility to give people some good to prepare themselves for good representation. They're actually
Hmm.
getting good works, and they're getting good starting points. So that way they just don't come in and look like the amateur. You know what I mean? On the paper per se. And
Hmm.
it's okay to be the beginner, but at least you want to have that paperwork in order.
Oh
You
yeah.
want that one solidified, because people will tear you apart with the paperwork. The words, everything. It's just the American legal thing to do.
Yeah. Well, it seems like that's one of the easiest things to get wrong. So, um, on that note, and I think we had brought this up as well before we started recording, but what mistakes do you think people make just in general in their first year starting a business?
Spending their overhead could be wanting too much at first and not being able to maintain the overhead cost for that. So starting small, starting with
Mhm.
the necessities and letting certain things generate over time, that will then soon that will take care of other things too, and just what that process looks like. And again, just you've got to figure out what that nuclear is, you know. um what would I would say that's a big one. That is really a big one right there. And because if you don't have the capital, then you really aren't able to run the business like that.
Mhm. Yeah, it seems like sometimes people pick the wrong business, something that might not you know fit real naturally. But I've seen a lot of small business owners that have found that niche. That's what I think I've seen. The people that I've known that have been successful small business owners, they have something that's unique about what they're doing
Hmm.
that allows them to connect with their customers. So
Marketing. That's yeah, and you bring up another one. The marketing. That's if you don't know who you're targeting and you don't and not having a good roadmap. That's another thing. The roadmap. That's key for us because we're able to go back and check off the things that were on our to-do list, and it gives us that ability to look on this paper and see how we're scaling. You know, what have we done in these 4 weeks or these 6 months or these 12 months up to the 5 year mark, and the roadmap and your why. The why is key. And I think the why itself, it bridges that gap of language. And that's where I feel that people are able to be the most efficient when language is similar.
yeah, it seems also like I know when the purpose is really clear, when you believe in the purpose, it also makes it a little easier for the founder to work without pay and all that kind of stuff, and be able to kind of get that sweat equity in that way. If talking in a practical sense and from nuts and bolts, what do you think does it help also to have something that you're passionate about so that if you're in that beginning phase as a business where you really don't have a lot of cash flow, that you're at least or does it help just to have a side job? I mean, what are your thoughts on those different ways to get over the first part of? I don't think any business ever starts off being flush with money. So
Yeah, when if you would have asked me when I was 25 years old, I would have said starving artist all the way. But you know, now that I'm 34 and uh, everything counts a little bit more, you just from a living and surviving standpoint want to just have the thing your necessities. And if you're not in a place where you have stability, you're not going to get anything done. Or it's going to be a very minimal because you're going to be focused on the survival portion of it, and you're not going to be able to give your business the type of attention it deserves. So at least having a side job or having another source of passive income that you can have a time management with and balance that out because you know the schedule, then yeah, have a few bucks coming in. That's I mean, I feel like that's another thing too. And people get discouraged because then they want to rush the business along, or they want to try to cut corners with the business and do things for a buck. And it could be bad business practice. It could be a bad contract that you didn't read over correctly, you know, with your legal team. And then you start making those internal mistakes, and eventually you keep making those types of mistakes, and you know, then you've got the other people knocking at your door.
yeah, you don't want that kind of trouble.
Yeah.
So keep track of your finances it sounds like that's an important thing. You want to track your finances all the time. I would imagine, and I've heard this advice as well, as keeping your personal finances and your business finances separate.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely key. And that just creates less, blurred lines. You want to have a clear distinction between personal and business account. You don't want to give people reasons.
Mhm.
You don't. And that's just, and I feel like that's just outside of that. That's just a good key practice to be able to compartmentalize these things.
Oh yeah. How how do you maintain your motivation, you think, after getting initially set up?
I think that's what motivates me. Is having everything set up, the being
Mhm.
and just knowing that I was able to check those things off those boxes. That's the keep going, because at that point now I have a chance to build a fresh list, and I already know that I can execute it once. So the motivation of execution for sure.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's going to be kind of wild from my perspective to I'm going to need to get an LLC set up myself for the homestead, right?
Mm,
And I know
mhm.
there's definitely protections, and it kind of feels like it's a personal thing, but it's a business. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It's so there's a difference, I guess, between having an LLC, being incorporated, and being publicly traded. Like those public companies that are traded on Wall Street.
Mhm.
It's a completely different situation. But so would you say that? Let me get back to the question here. So, should new entrepreneurs start lean then, or should they go big?
I'll say it like this. It'll be a two part. Go go big with the vision, but you still have to start at one.
That makes a lot of
You're not
sense.
gonna you're not yeah you're not gonna get to 1,000 if you haven't started at one.
But you have to see the whole thing, is what you're saying. You can't just
You do.
yeah, yeah. I agree. So I know this is sort of a tough topic this week because it's so practical in the sense that we a lot of what people need to know they can kind of Google themselves, right? There's a lot of this
Facts.
stuff as far as the paperwork goes, right?
Yeah.
But I think in a bigger sense, the business itself, we can sort of also talk about what hiccups, what where people might trip up, like reinvesting profits. And you sort of talked, we were talking a second ago about eh, being sort of surviving. If you're living personally and counting on the business profits to survive, you're not really able to reinvest those profits properly back into the business, right? Is that a potential problem?
Oh yeah, that would be a potential problem, because then you get back into that, oh wow, this or that, or and then it starts to be less about what you're doing and more of the victim stance, and that just it'll tear it. And I've fallen victim to that, in the first year was really tough. It was really tough because I very much had that thought that Web3 was the best thing since sliced bread, and this is coming off of Web2, so it's a whole different community.
Mm,
And I wasn't being naive in the sense of it would blow up overnight, but give it about 6 months and you'll see the difference. I did see the difference for sure. I saw the opportunity to build something long lasting, and
yeah,
in the words of Mr. E, have utility versus the currency. And
yeah.
I had to shift my mindset in that whole approach and how I look at Web3. And don't get me wrong, the days can get tough for sure. I was yelling at myself earlier about this. I've been fasting since like 8:30 and stuff, and I finally ate at like 9 o'clock. It was great. It was
Mm,
amazing. But just overall, it's good for your mental stability that if just to have something, and you got to give yourself a little bit of cushion. You got to give yourself a little bit of cushion. You got to give yourself something,
Mhm.
and even if you don't need a lot, like, all right, cool. How can I just, have $50 a week
Oh
so I can
yeah.
go buy some 99-cent tuna packets? You know what I mean? Which is, if,
Oh
if
man.
that's what it takes.
Yeah. But living lean is that's kind of a bit of the appeal of homesteading, I think, for me, is part of what you're doing is in creating food, worst comes to worst, you can eat it, right? That's
Yeah,
it's one of
exactly.
those things. But
Genius.
definitely. So so what how does entrepreneurship itself change your mindset about money then?
You are a lot more in tune with how you're spending it, and even just how you're saying that. Am I spending it? Is this an investment? Or and not everything has to be an investment, right? We don't have to say, hey, we're going to Disney World. This is the best, this is investment. Like, have fun, just have fun, but managing is the key there. It's just managing your money and not living outside of your means. My grandma has been a strong advocate for this. She's always made the joke of me being the grandchild that has champagne taste on a beer budget, but I had to argue with her and said that they make craft beers now. So that was me being funny, of course. And I
Yeah,
can't get the switch. I can't get the switch anymore. But yeah, just managing your money, and sometimes you don't have to, get that, go out and get that dinner, and you just start to be more wise, and you really start to see things for what they are and what they aren't. And I find more pride and joy knowing that I can that I'm able to provide something for somebody. And it felt really good. Shout out to DJ Deflord. Right now he's kicking tail for SLR. It felt really good to say, here are your royalties for your time spent here. And it wasn't a lot, but it wasn't a little either. And it just felt really good to do that. And all in all, you have to make sure that you as an individual are right. But being able to do the things that we're doing right now and being able to generate something to where it comes back around full circle and it benefits there's nothing like it.
that's awesome, man. I we're gonna do something a little bit different this week because we're only gonna do a half hour episode.
Ooh.
But this is the only one. And we'll be right back to our 1 hour format again this next week. And we're doing this because it is, again, sort of a heady topic. And for the most part, you can Google this. We recommend that you do Google what the rules are or use ChatGPT. Go into ChatGPT and ask, what does it take to establish an LLC where you live, get the DBA, get yourself a business bank account, and keep your personal finances separate from your business finances. But man, this is all really good information, Izzy. I plan on digging into this very soon, and we'll have to talk about how it all goes. So
As you should. And we should definitely bring Mr. Samuel Hogan on here to really get into the nitty gritty of that data entry. And we could talk more about production workflow and just maintaining good efficiency within that. Because a lot of this stuff, man, on the internal side and the in-house stuff, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, and just making sure that people are acclimated within your systems and knowing where things go, just so that way everything can be documented. There's a lot that goes into it, and workflow. I mean, shoot, workflow can be a completely different episode, man.
heck yeah, man. Well, we'll have him. We'll definitely have him on for that. So until next time, Izzy, never give up the fight.
Never give up the fight.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody and stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, your check is I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah.
He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression,
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.
So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds, they can stay soft. You can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.